Hello and welcome to interest.co.nz. I'm Gareth Vaughan and I'm here at Visa with Caroline Ada, who is the Country Manager for New Zealand and the South Pacific. Caroline, we're going to talk about your contactless payments technology. You've just had 1 million transactions via cards with this technology in 1 month for the first time. How significant is that for you, firstly? And secondly, what percentage of your overall transactions in New Zealand is that?
So it's actually very significant because this time last year we're at a standing start. So we had 0 transactions and only a couple of hundred merchants. There's now 12,000 retail locations that accept Visa payWave and over 1.5 million Visa cards that have payWave enabled. It's still an evolving product, so it's not a significant percentage of our overall monthly transactions. But considering we're essentially at a base of 0, and in only a very short time we've been able to achieve that.
And in terms of previous technologies and the take-up of them, I guess the last big thing was the chip cards. How does the take-up of this one compare to those previous technologies?
Yeah, chip obviously was actually... there wasn't really much consumer benefit associated with chip in terms of making the transaction a better experience at point of sale. It was more about security, and it was mandated obviously by the industry. So it probably took us about 5 years to get chip fully embedded in New Zealand. I don't expect it's going to take that long with payWave. Based on the numbers that we've seen obviously in the footprint. But it's certainly, in terms of adoption in the retail community, it's going to take a bit of time to get those terminals out across the community because they've got to go through a swap out process with their devices.
Now, we've had a bit of media coverage about safety concerns. Not just the Visa payWave, but the MasterCard equivalent technology as well, with people saying that the card's been, picked up by the machines when it's still in their wallet in their pocket, and that it's been taking the money from their credit account when they thought it was going to be from their cheque or savings account, that type of thing. Yeah. So what can you sort of tell people in terms of safety issues now that you've had this technology in the market for a couple of years?
Yeah, I guess the first thing I would say is it is actually safe. It's backed by chip technology, so understand that as you go through implementation of a new technology, there's always going to be concerns about the change associated and how quickly people adopt that. First things first, obviously the card's got to be held within 4 centimetres of the reader. The reader needs to be activated, and by activated that basically means when the checkout operator finishes scanning all the items, the lights come on essentially on the terminal. It's only then you can actually hold your card within 4 centimetres of the reader. So it's impossible to just walk past a reader and be charged. The other thing I suppose is you've got people out there that have both credit and debit capability on the one card. But I guess we just say that you need to hold it very close to the top of the screen of the reader if you want to do a contactless transaction. But if you want to swipe it through the terminal, obviously you go through that process. So we have had some instances of people feeling like they've been charged with the wrong account. It's really just a matter of getting used to the technology and understanding how to present the card in a different way.
And you're still supplying cards that are not contact payment enabled. Is there a point where you're going to move to all Visa cards being contactless payment enabled ones?
At this point, obviously, we haven't made it a mandatory requirement for our banks in New Zealand to issue it on all their portfolios. We certainly see as there's more uptake, that it will become more prevalent across the portfolios, but we're not at 100% certainly at this point, but certainly over the next couple of years we'd expect to be at a significant critical mass.
So pushing towards 100% within a couple of years?
Yeah, certainly, yeah.
And now I was under the misguided view that you could only make payments with this type of technology for things that cost up to $80, but in fact you were telling me off camera before you can actually already make payments with your contactless contactless payment enabled card for things that cost more than $80.
Yeah, that's right.
But you've got to use a PIN as well.
That's correct. So anything over $80, so any value, as long as the merchant obviously accepts payWave, you can do a payWave transaction. You've just got to enter a PIN. I think it's actually quite critical because as we kind of migrate from card to phone, where people will just take their phone out when they leave for the morning. They'll be able to, make seamless payments no matter what the value of the transaction.
And now, just finally, you're working on this mobile wallet project with BNZ and Vodafone, which you announced back in September.
Yeah.
It's a sort of initial trial period. How's that progressing, and when will this become a mass market product?
Yeah, so it's actually progressing really well. I think we've got about 100 participants in the pilot. Like any technology pilot, we've had a few ups and downs, but we've managed to get the technology working quite well, and the three parties are working exceptionally well together. The view is obviously sometime next year to be able to commercialise the technology. But at this point, we're still in that kind of early pilot stage, testing all the terminals, testing the customer experience to understand what the concerns are with the pilot.
So if I was to push you a bit, when you say next year, could you say early next year or later next year or middle next year?
I couldn't say at this point. It really does depend on the technology and all three parties feeling comfortable that it's in a position where all consumers can use it.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for that, Caroline. That's Caroline Ada, who's the Visa Country Manager for New Zealand and the South Pacific. And I'm Gareth Vaughan at interest.co.nz.